2026 is going to be the first year I live completely on my own, and I've been really thinking a lot about how I want to spend the next year and the things that I want to really be intentional about. Hi, my name's Noah. I'm a software engineer. I recently moved to a new city. On this channel, we talk about making relationships after college, taking care of yourself, your mind, your body, and your space. Normally, January is when like everyone's at the gym again. You're super motivated to be running and, get out there and be active. I had a surgery at the beginning of the year, so I've been pretty much like bedridden for the past 2 weeks. So it was a little bit frustrating as someone who likes to work out, but it's given me a lot of time to, sit down and think about like what I want to do differently this year and, what this next year is going to look like for me. For me, 2025 was a lot of firsts for me. It was the first time, moving across the country, starting my own job, moving into my own apartment. And while all of those things were really cool and important to me, I think it's really easy to just kind of be wrapped up in the novelty of things. But this next year is going to be the first time like I'm working the entire time. I live alone. So I want to be intentional about how I spend my time. There's no summer break or spring break for me to look forward to. I'm just kind of going to be stuck with what I've got. And I love my job and I love all of that stuff. But, it does feel different to like look at this upcoming year and not really have specific like milestones that I'm looking forward to. So with that said, the first thing that I really want to be intentional about is the content that I consume. I think for myself, and I'm sure many others, a lot of the times when we have downtime or, just time where we're not working or, doing something else, we'll be on our phone. And so many of the apps that we use really just feed us content. With the whole short form content and the way things are going, you just open an app and you're immediately like bombarded with the content and you don't actually have a choice in what you're watching. Obviously, like there's algorithms underneath that, curate your feed to keep you on the platform, and it gives you content that you might want to watch, but I think there's an important process of actually picking what you want to watch and picking what you want to entertain yourself with and not just letting another company decide that for you. So for me, I'm really going to, put time and thought into what I choose to entertain myself with. I'm not one of those people that feel like you need to always be working and, grind. I think it's good to have downtime. And I feel like I worked really hard to get to a position where, I could go to my job and then also have time for myself. So I don't think the solution to like doom scrolling is to just like cut all of that out, but I think it's important to, recognize and be intentional about what you choose to watch. I think YouTube's a great platform for that because although they have like a For You page and you get recommended videos, I think with creators, you kind of establish a connection more. If, for example, like a Drew Gooden video came up on my channel, I've been watching him for years, so I know that I want to watch that content and I still have to like make the choice of clicking on it. And although that doesn't seem like a lot, I think it does make a big difference versus just scrolling and having a never ending like loop of content. Not that you can't doom scroll on YouTube. I've definitely gone down rabbit holes, but I think it's just a little bit better. And so for me, I think I'm going to try to replace just being on TikTok with, if I want to watch a video while I'm eating, like actually choosing what I want to watch, making a conscious effort to be present with the entertainment I'm watching. I think another example of how I can be more intentional is, actually pouring into actual hobbies. I was really into Legos as a kid, and in college I didn't really have the time or like money for it, but I've started to get more Legos. And I'm not just buying sets, because I think certain hobbies where if you're like, oh, I collect like Pokemon cards or something, no shade, but like I feel like you're just buying stuff and there's not really that creative input. So I've been building a lot of my like own stuff, and it's crazy how much time goes by when I'm like building Legos, and it's just so much fun for me. I really get to like express my creativity and like think of things. So that's something I've really been enjoying, and I kind of look forward to continuing that in this upcoming year. And for you, like that doesn't have to be Legos. That could be cooking. That could be, painting or making YouTube videos, making Instagram videos. I think those are all good ways to like express your creativity. And another person's creative outlet might not look the same as mine or vice versa. But I think it's just important, to make sure you're still doing that. And especially like as a new grad, in college, you have to write essays and, do work on different projects. But besides the time I spend at work, like there isn't really a structure for me to be creative. So it's kind of on me to be intentional about, doing that. So if you're a new grad and you're like kind of feeling a little bit down about stuff, or maybe you just feel like you haven't been able to, be intentional with your time, I would suggest like looking into, maybe some hobbies you had as a kid that you enjoyed, maybe get back in touch with that. And I'm sure that will feel really rewarding and you'll enjoy the time you're actually spending versus just, watching brain rot on TikTok for hours. I don't know if I'm the only person who feels this way, and I'm sure I'm not, but I really struggle with always looking to the next thing. When I was in high school, I just couldn't wait to get to college. When I was in college, I just couldn't wait to get my first internship. When I got that internship, I immediately was thinking about the return offer. Last year, I had 6 months where I moved back home before I moved to Pittsburgh. And literally every day, I was like counting down the days till I moved out. And I don't think there's a problem with being excited for something. But one thing this year that I really want to do better at is just being present in the moment and enjoying where I'm at. In the next couple of months, I'm going to have to make a decision if I want to move to DC or not. My girlfriend lives out there and we've been long distance for forever, and I really want to make the move out there. But I've caught myself like really already starting to look at apartments and, not really appreciating the place I'm in now, not appreciating my city as much, and my relationships, and kind of just being super, super excited for that next thing. And I've noticed that like I always feel like that next milestone or goal is going to, really bring me happiness. And then I get to that. And obviously like I'm happy where I'm at now, but then I immediately try to look for the next thing. And, as a new grad, like I think we kind of have run out of huge milestones to look forward to. When you're in school, like high school, college, like it's very rigid, and there's certain things that you have to get to, I'll finish 8th grade, 9th grade, go to high school, go to college, things like that. But, now that I'm like out in the real world, no one's like telling me what I need to do, and so it's kind of on me to choose what those next milestones are going to be like, what this next year is going to look like for me, what am I going to accomplish in it. And so for me, I really want to, be present, although I don't think it's a bad thing to, look forward to what's next, but like make sure that I'm being appreciative and present in my current moment, because 6 months ago, I couldn't wait to be here. And now I'm thinking about what comes next in 6 months. So, I really want to do a better job about that. And I'm going to be very intentional with, slowing down. And like I said, just being appreciative of where I'm at. And I'm sure other people feel that way too. I'm a very like future oriented person. So I think some of that just comes with my personality, but I don't think it's all bad, but I think I could do a better job at that. This year for me, I also just want to, get back into the habit of creating to create. I started making YouTube videos when I was like 12 years old, and at the time, and there was nothing like more fun for me than to, sit down and record like a Nerf gun video or something like that. And I fell in love with video editing and making YouTube videos at a young age, and it's something that I've always enjoyed, and I've kind of recently dove back into that. And I don't want to lose focus of the reasons why I make content and why I enjoy it. Now, I'm not going to lie, if this channel does well, like I'm not going to pretend like that's not something I want out of it. But I think in America and like our society, we have a habit of, trying to make everything a job and trying to maximize return on investment for everything. And YouTube for me always started as a creative outlet, and I want to keep it that way. And for me, like a goal of mine is I've had a lot of people come to me for advice in my real day-to-day life. And I hope that what I have to say can speak to people, that I don't know directly, or that might not have the chance to talk to me. But I want to keep that in mind this next year. I'm really going to focus on creating more and, actually trying on this platform. So as I do that, though, I think it's important to, keep myself grounded and keep my approach honest to who I am and why I want to do this. My actual goal this year is to finally get a bed frame, because I've been living on the floor for the last 8 months and people are making fun of me for it. So, okay, this feels a little intimate, but I'm running out of locations to film into, so why not my bed? I was mostly joking about my bed frame, but I do want to spend a decent amount of money this year on actually investing in my space again. When I first moved in here, I was like super motivated to buy furniture and all of that stuff. And I've gotten like most of the basics. There's nothing too critical that I'm missing. I can function and work from my house. But I really want my apartment to be a well curated space. And I am like a pretty clean person. So I keep it clean and all that. But I'm missing a lot of essentials like a coffee table, a bed frame, like a mirror, things like that. So I'm really gonna stop spending money on random things and just buy the IKEA mirror that I've been looking at for like 6 months. But yeah, if you are someone who, you're in an apartment and you come home and you're kind of just disappointed in it, maybe spend some time thinking about like what are some things you could buy or pieces that would elevate your space and make it a place where you like really enjoy, because every time I come home, I'm so thankful about my apartment. And now if I do move to DC, I'll have to downsize quite a bit this year. So I can't go overboard on the purchases. But like I said, there's some basic essentials that I'm going to need at either apartment. So I'm going to make sure I get those. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think this year is going to be a great year for you and me. And I can't wait to see like all that is in store. I remember in January of last year, I never could have imagined all the things that happened this year and the amount of growth I had. And I'm really looking forward to another year of that. And hopefully you will stick around as I navigate this next year as a new grad. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and got something from this video. If there's anything specific you want me to talk about in the next video, let me know. Or if you want to learn more about relationships, moving to a new city, things like that, I have a couple good videos on that and I will link them somewhere here. But yeah, that's all I have today. So thank you so much for watching.